Yay!
Yay!
Okay, let me turn off the sound. There we go. Awesome, guys. Great to see you. All right, we're all set to go. For some reason, this doesn't work on Firefox, so good to know. All right, guys. Hi there, and welcome. Sorry we're starting a little bit late. I so apologize. That'll mean we'll go till quarter after the hour, just letting you know. So welcome to our second annual free quantum wake-up call, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up about what quantum wake-up calls are all about and what we do here and how they work and all that kind of stuff. We've got people listening. We've got a couple of hundred people listening right now to this particular quantum wake-up call, and I want to welcome all the people who are new to this work. To give you the ins and outs of these calls, there's people from all over the world, people from Australia, I know people from the UK. Hi, all my friends from the UK. People from Europe, people from all over the world really listening in. But really, we go on an experience together. It's not about, everything in Wide Awakening is about going beyond the idea of personal growth or even the way we've viewed spirituality to date. The work that we do in the Wide Awakening is really for people on the fast track. It's for people that are no longer, there's not so much interest in excavating the past, excavating everything that isn't you, everything that hasn't been working for you. All of us have done a lot of that work. All of us have done a lot of self-exploration and self-examination. And it's all good. However, in the world of the Wide Awakening, we approach things a little bit differently. And the only reason is because I personally, I grew up with a pretty straight shooting family that was, kind of, let's say, very regular. We had our ups and downs. We certainly had the painful moments like everybody else. But for me, I always knew I was a little bit on the outside looking in. I always knew I could see things from 30,000 feet. I could always tell what was going on in other people's relationships. I could always tell these things. I could always tell that the world didn't have to struggle so much, that I could always tell that politicians weren't telling the truth, even when I was 5 years old. And so the world that we live in the Wide Awakening are for those that can see that know that there's more, and they are up to experiencing their world and the world awakening and finding congruency and finding fluidity. When we say awakening, we really mean finding harmony within our own lives, but also finding harmony with each other. There's no mistake that right now we're able to connect all the way across the world. There's no mistake in the universe that there are ways to go direct to people that we could never go direct to before, to see stories and the truth like we've never seen before. And it's because we've all been asking for it. So the group that comes to the Wide Awakening, the group that comes to Quantum Wake-Up Calls, are the leaders. They're the people that really know that it's possible for humanity to find that connection again. I really call this group the Heaven on Earth construction crew, quite frankly. So what's up with me? Just so all the newbies can catch up to speed, all the new people. So I really went to school for accounting and economics. I went to university for that. I started working at a big multinational. And I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but let's just say that I think I completely ignored my innate abilities, my capacities to connect with infinite wisdom. I'm surrounded by trees right now. I'm in beautiful Virginia, and in fact, and I'd love to, this would be awesome. I'm actually going to do a first. I'm going to take you guys to look at what I'm looking at right now, so that you can see what it is that I get to see when I look out my window when I do quantum wake-up calls. There you go. It's quite beautiful, and we're pretty blessed. So the greatest harmony exists in nature, doesn't it? everything talks to each other there, just like the human cells do. So what are we here to do? Quantum wake-up calls are a communion of souls, and I was just getting on to why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this, and why we teach the Wide Awakening, and why we're up to this kind of work. And when I say we, I'm just going to go direct and say myself and my collective higher levels, guides, angels, all of yours, are coming together for some reason, which I can go into a long story of, but I want to get on with the call. And I want to make sure that we're all in communion and flying forward ourselves and really activating the truth of who we are. I saw that there was one way of exploring, because at some point in my career as an economist, what happened was I got very sick. And in order to heal myself, I actually became a holistic nutritionist that then evolved to becoming medically intuitive, that then wondering where that ability to see energy and see people's bodies happened. And I started to wonder where it all came from. And I realized that where it came from, I started to see holographic images that showed me who we were, and that there was much more to us than just these 3 dimensions. What I started to see is that through everyone's pineal gland was the fact that there were 12 dimensions or strands of DNA, and that we were multi-dimensional beings, and we were made up of aspects that could spontaneously heal and bend time and have all these things, have all these innate abilities that other people said were gifts. And I started to see that they weren't gifts, that people had just practiced them a lot longer. And when I realized that they weren't gifts, I also realized that those encodements lay in those 12 dimensions of DNA. And I thought, what if we could all feel energy? What if we could all commune with each other in a way that we could see what was actually going on with our fellow human beings? That we could see things from 30,000 feet, that we could access infinite wisdom and be able to say what there was to say from deepest compassion, such that it would move the energy of a room. It would shift incongruencies instantaneously. What if we could all embody those innate abilities, and that those 12 strands of DNA that contain the information that assist us to fully be who we came here to be was actually one of the, I hesitate to use the word the secret, one of the secrets, or one of the, it's not a secret, it's normal. This is how we really are. We were born to have all those abilities. They aren't gifts. And what I started to see from a very, very left brain person, which was me, I started being shown things that were irrefutable, and I actually started living them, being able to, be extremely, let's say, psychic. I don't like using that word either, but I could see what was going on in situations with people. I started to be able to commune with nature, which is why I love it, because it never lies to you. And as a result, it's not real fun if you're the only one that can do it. And it became very clear to me that the reason why I was being given these abilities, and why I was being given the ability to see what was going on with people and see what was going on with the truth of who we are, the reason that I got shown that is because I wasn't just shown that, I was also shown the way to activate all of those things within others. And to tell you the truth, me embodying those other frequencies simply through my speaking and through our communion together, the presence of those frequencies within me, which is why partially, we do it through voice, but we also do it through the people on live stream being able to see me. The ability to commune together this way, most of the work, 85% of the work, is being done in the background, guys. Most of the work is being done because of the frequency levels on which I'm speaking, rather than what we're actually saying. And what we're actually saying is going to bring the mind peace enough that the work can be done in the background by your higher levels and your other strands of DNA. Even talking right now, you can almost feel that it's true, or feel the resonance of it. Again, I don't take anything that I say as the truth. I take it only as a truth, because as we wake up, we get to see deeper truths. And so the truth that we're ready to see today isn't going to be what's ready to be seen tomorrow. And so I hold it all very loosely, and I request that you all do the same. So what are we doing on these quantum wake-up calls? Well, we and your we are collecting together and communing, and what we're doing is we're tapping into the deeper knowing of who we are and activating, meaning diving into the highest frequencies we can reach within you and bringing them out, rather than excavating the things at the lower frequencies. If we address all the things at the lower frequencies, the reasons why you struggle, the things that are in your way, the things that don't work, if we tap into all of that, what happens is you spend the rest of your life excavating what isn't you. The truth is, there is a much deeper understanding of who you are. The power of who you are lies in the understanding that infinite wisdom thought you were a good idea. All of creation thought you were a good idea, or you wouldn't be here. If you sit with that for just a moment, and instead of just hearing me intellectually, and I'm speaking fast now because the information's coming through, I want you to feel it instead of hearing it with your ears. In fact, for the entire time we're on this quantum wake-up call, I request that you actually see, feel, hear with every sense that you have, which means that you're going beyond the 5 senses that we think we have. Not just to the 6th sense, but there are so many more than that lying in those encodements of DNA that were innate to human beings in the first place. Now, one might ask, how does an activation work? Well, in quantum wake-up calls, what we do every month for 2 one-hour classes on very specific subjects, those subjects being specific to what is happening on the planet right now and what's happening within you, so that you have a place to go, that as these mighty shifts occur, that you're not all by yourself. It really is for the Not Belonging Club. It is our collective higher levels coming together such that there is a communion of people that know that life is meant to be more, that we are meant to be more, and that the shift is entirely possible within this lifetime. In quantum wake-up calls, what I know to be true and what they're telling me really is that you are so much more expansive and so much more than you've ever thought that you were. You can feel it as I'm saying it, as we're saying it. And even if you don't know the more that you are, even as we're speaking, you can feel it. You can feel the truth of that. That is an activation. It transcends the left brain's understanding. That's why it's the fast track. When there is no need for explanation, but on some level, you truly just get it. It's like when you got riding a bike. When you understand that there is much more and you start to make sense of all of these things, what happens is there's an activation. Well, not even when you start to make sense. As we speak, it's making sense within you, and the mind can't even keep up. Be okay with the mind not keeping up. The fast track, on the fast track of awakening, trying to contemplate and understand will slow you down. It will all start to settle in as we go on this experience. So, if we're all willing to go on the experience of full body grace for a permanent shift in peace, then firsthand you all and I will experience a physiological and subatomic shift that will cause a permanent change in the way in which you view your entire life, that will allow you to live in much greater fluidity. That's what this particular quantum wake-up call is all about. What I'm going to be doing as we're going about this particular call is that you guys can absolutely ask questions. Um, as we go about these, I'm going to be looking at questions and having a look at what you're saying. I see Linda in Ottawa and Fiona in Melbourne, Australia. So glad that you're here. And she's saying, not sure if this is a relevant topic today, but is it possible for you to expand on the email you sent out about your friend's PMS problems? I had the same experience and would love to know more of your thoughts. Well, I don't usually start this way, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this way. So let's actually do this. I'm going to read you a little something something, and that little something something that I'm going to read has to do with that question, around that feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of your body kicking back, the feeling of your body, or sometimes your mind feeling like it's all too much. There's just so much going on. So let me just read you something from this week. I was just talking to a nurse about certain vaccinations and medications and misinformation to the public and lack of information about other options. She shared how people still give their power away to doctors and don't listen to their bodies. It's not like she's incorrect. They also give their power away to naturopaths and awakening leaders. Oh, there is an endless supply if you wish to get your shorts in a knot and spend your life in upset in the past. I felt that way too. Powerful change only occurs on a mass scale through love, consistency, and 100% compassion and the courage to speak the greater truth when it presents. It doesn't disinclude anger either, and I want you guys to know that. Gandhi, Mandela, Jesus, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, Buddha, and so many others are perfect examples of that. You have it within you. I'm laughing right now because our office angel was fighting with the printer for the fifth time for the fifth time in a year. It can be a struggle. Know that what you see around you, which is mostly beautiful, includes incongruencies in humanity that are simply providing you a screenshot of the current state of progress in the world awakening. I'm going to say that again. Know that what you see around you, that perhaps you have generally judged, the people around you, the incongruencies around you, most of what goes on around you, and I'm witnessing the trees and nature around me and my dog on the floor, most of what goes around you, most of what goes on in every day in society is beautiful, but it includes incongruencies. And humanity is providing you a screenshot of the current status of our progress in the world awakening, the status of the expansion of heaven on earth, which is an exact reflection of the status of your own awakening. It's not that what you can see around you is a reflection of you, so much as the collective of all of us and the degree to which we've embodied the harmonic of who we are is reflected in the way other human beings behave. The path to greater awakening, path to fluidity in your life, the path to finding love no matter what the situation with your little girl or your little boy, the path to being able to see beyond the words that someone's saying and to see the energy on the other side such that what you say is so compassionate that it changes worlds. The ability to do that is in direct proportion to the degree to which you have embodied those innate abilities that I talked about earlier. It's so important to understand that the heaven that we seek is absolutely and directly related to our ability to see things from 30,000 feet. Because the truth of what's going on is people are afraid. And their request is for compassion and love. But the only way we're going to have that is if we embody more of who we are, such that we can have compassion and love for our ancestry, for what's happened to us, for our childhood. Understand fully, my lovelies. Understand fully that you chose from 5 potential sets of parents. You chose, in particular, the people listening to Quantum Wake-Up Calls. I'm going to tell you, you've noticed that other people may not have chosen the same circumstances in this lifetime that may have been pretty challenging. You look back on your life and see what happens, and you can't understand some of it. And let me say this to you. Magnetically, we are all connected. We are not one in this 3 dimension. We are all separate, but in the multi-dimensions, there is a universalis state where you can experience all of that which exists. It's one of your abilities. We came here to co-create with each other, not as one, but as individual beings coming from that universalis state, with the capacities of multitudes of civilizations from whom we got those 12 strands of DNA, those encodements for these amazing abilities we were given. Those abilities allow us to be able to do crazy things like bending time and spontaneously heal and see things from 30,000 feet and understand what the communion of the trees and nature is with us. Talk to our dog without words. Commune directly with the guidance levels and angelic realms and manifest levels. It's all there. There isn't a single person that doesn't have those encodements within them. The issue is this: if indeed we did have those pasts and have those parents, or lack thereof, and if indeed infinite wisdom and you participated in that choice, then that means, especially if infinite wisdom is in us, of us, all around us, through us, it takes up all of the space that is us. And if in 3 dimensions we were thought to be a good idea, and infinite wisdom's only reason for being is to expand upon fluidity in heaven itself, then the only reason we could be here is to expand upon heaven itself. But the problem is fluidity hasn't existed here on this planet. We forgot that we are all of what I just mentioned. We forgot. And so, since we forgot, there are thought forms and entities out there, and if you're willing to stay present to this conversation right now, I'm going to give you a deeper understanding, which again is going to give you a lot more grace for yourself and the world. in general. I haven't said it quite this way ever before. There are thought forms and aspects that exist that came from thousands of years of struggling with ourselves and each other because we thought we were limited to 3 dimensions. So we needed strategies. We needed to put someone down to be up. We needed to put ourselves down to justify where we were. We needed to assess and have reasons to assess people. We made up paradigms for who's a better person and who's a lesser person. We made up the idea of status. All of these things are total nonsense in consciousness. To consciousness, it makes no sense at all. To consciousness, you are infinite wisdom's idea here to expand upon creation. But the problem is, once you think those things into being, they actually exist in the matrix as thought forms. The fastest way, now listen closely because I want you to understand who you are and why you're here. This is crucial to the whole discussion. It's powerful. In order to transmute, and you'll notice I did not use the word transform, because transform means that you change one form to the next and it can change back, just like Transformers in the movies. What I'm talking about is transmuting, which means that you literally transcend those entities which have made up the collective ego. I call it the collective ego. It's the culture of dog eat dog, one better than the other. There's not enough resources. Some people are smarter than others, and that matters. There's different kinds of smart, and certain kinds of smart matter more than other kinds of smart. It's nonsense in consciousness. The problem is, these entities now exist in consciousness. Human beings were never, ever meant to live in such a struggle-filled world. Hence, the other encodements that would have you be able to see it from 30,000 feet and know that that reality is such a small aspect of possible truths that we could live. And so why? Why that past? Why has humanity gone through everything? Why are we even awakening to the truth now? What is it that's happening? Well, what is happening is not a personal growth experience. What is happening is not even, as Jennifer likes to say, crunchy granola or woo-woo. It's not a tree-hugging experience either. It actually is a multi-dimensional, scientific, biologically, scientifically fascinating process of an entire species embodying aspects of itself that it forgot. And just like a limb that hasn't been used, it's a bit atrophied. And Jennifer's job on the planet is to be the channel, for lack of a better word. To be the conduit is a much better word for those frequencies, such that all the commune will feel the activation of those aspects. And their bodies will start to be rewired with the physiological and biological upgrades. This is not something that is woo-woo, my friends. And if you've been experiencing it at all, you will know that it's not woo-woo. Those crazy sleeps that you've been having, those wakened dreams, those times where you can't open your eyes because you feel like you're knocked out, the strange cravings you're having, all of them are because of the biological shifts from awakening. And so, why? Here is the part about grace, the deepest conversation we can have about that grace of which we spoke at the beginning. The grace comes when you realize you had a choice to choose the parents and the situation that you came into. This is not a normal lifetime. It is very special people, very special beings, let's say, or souls that would come to this planet in order to bridge the gap between where we have been and where we're going. But you see, in order to bridge the gap between where we have been and where we're going, you came with the second part. You knew the harmony. When you were born, you knew the harmony that was the potential for humankind because you'd lived it before in other civilizations. You've been on this planet, off this planet. You've been in situations. That's why you can't explain why you know that something was always wrong here. You knew that there was incongruency. You looked around you and you thought, why are people so mean to each other? Why is the world like this? You knew it from the get-go. But you see, that's only because you had already had, let's say, physical experiences of embodied harmony elsewhere. And it felt like the image that comes to mind is a shovel to the face. A bit of a rude awakening coming here. But you see, you had to have that to be the bridge. You see, a bridge needs to have where we're going and also where we've been. So let's go back to the choice of parents and circumstances. Your entire circumstances happened, and you chose them because you wanted the most rich experience of what it was to be human. And you volunteered to bridge humanity from the kind of contrast you experienced in your earlier life to the kind of harmony that you knew was possible. You're all bridges. And for that reason, you're all leaders. And at the Wide Awakening, you'll see that all of the people that we work with truly are all leaders of this expansive journey forward. And what a leader does is they don't discount what happened to them. They don't put their head in the sand about the oil spill. They don't try to leave their job because they don't like it. I'm here to remind you humbly that you're in that job to be a bridge. That you're here to have the deepest compassion for the CEO of the company that caused the oil spill. Because you have to know he's forgotten the most. And the pain of being a person that has forgotten is the deepest kind of pain. Saying things like, oh, I'm so glad that that particular incident in the Gulf is over now so my family can get back to normal after 500,000 dolphins and turtles were killed. That's painful. But again, I said that it includes frustration and anger. It's the full Monty. Your experience, as you find compassion for yourself, as you understand yourself more deeply, as you see who you really are, as you start to see things from 30,000 feet, you are a leader. You'll understand that everything that has happened to you, although you didn't ask for it, you knew that it would be a journey. And here comes the most powerful part. It's a courageous journey. You knew you could do it. Almost everyone who's been on this journey has had a thought of, I really wish I wasn't on this journey. Can I come back as an indigo kid and have more fun? And yet, there's something inside you that calls you on. And in that process, you are the full circle. You become the full circle of the density. You become the full circle of the density of what has been. You see, as you bring understanding to misunderstanding, I'm going to say that again. I want everyone to breathe. Everybody breathe. The way to full circle what has been is by bringing deeper understanding to misunderstanding. The problem is not that there are good people and bad people. The problem is there's a lot of misunderstanding, which is a completely different way of approaching this lifetime. And so, and I'm glad that you've got it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to our instant teleseminar and see what questions abound here. We've got Krista listening in Vietnam. We've got Heart in Vanilla, Manila. We've got, she's in the Philippines, a place that I just flew through. We've got Melbourne, Australia here, and Ottawa. I just want to tell you that this is a trend that everybody is going on. So for those of you on the webcast that are not listening via video cast, that are listening on instant teleseminar, you can write in questions. You type them into the left-hand side. Cindy in Arizona, Heart in the Philippines is saying, joyfully assimilating everything, feeling expansive. I'm so glad to hear that. Cindy in Tucson is saying, Jennifer, how do you see beyond people whose energy is so toxic that unlimited compassion has no effect on them or situations? I have an inability to block that energy. It's a wonderful question, Cindy, and I'm sure you are absolutely not alone in that question. So, and I will answer that. Kathy says, such a different experience with this call, Jennifer. Feeling the energy between the words and the underlying energy of the words, so very powerful. It is powerful. If you really want me to see what you're saying, you guys, write it in caps. It'll assist me to be able to read it, because no matter what we do, the writing is always so small. So that means that bringing understanding, love, light, compassion also means seeing more of the pain and the lack of congruence. It doesn't mean engaging it, though. That's what's so important to understand, you guys. And Cindy, I'm going to get to your question in a second. It's a really important question. It does not mean engaging it. But you see, your psyche, for a lot of your past, some of you have your psyche has kept you very safe. One of the mechanisms in the human body is to take things that are very, very painful and put them deep in your nervous system until you're at a high enough frequency to be able to transmute them. That's exactly what goes on in the world. You see, a lot of issues don't come up until the frequency of the world is ready to transmute them. You see things like Tauruses, and now we're seeing old or new, I should say, Nikola Tesla's information coming forth. But you see, you don't want it to come forth too fast. You want it to come forth on cosmic timing. Infinite energy is available, but the problem is most of humanity wouldn't be able to handle it, and it would get into the hands of the people that are still living in the density. It does exist. You are correct. I know you feel it. It absolutely exists. But the issue, my friends, is this. The issue is that the frequency of you and the frequency of the planet have to be in a state to be able to handle it. And so your body, in all of its brilliance, does so much to love you in order to keep some of that stuff away. Now, as you come to higher frequencies, what happens is, as you witness things, recently, so I'm just going to come through and tell you guys a story. I was interviewed for a movie called Project Forgive, which I recommend you look out for. It's by a friend of mine who's a 6-time Emmy Award-winning producer. And I didn't know what I was going to talk about, because truly, in the world of awakening, there is, forgiveness is one aspect along the way, but forgiveness is really about forgiving what? Well, we've been asleep for thousands of years. And we all were here when the forgetting was happening. We were part of the cause. And let me talk about feeling it daily as well. I appreciate these questions. So just be with me as I'm having this conversation with you. I was interviewed. I had no idea what I would say in this movie on forgiveness, because in reality, if we look at all of the strife and everything that's ever happened in the world, we were part of it. We were never evil. There is no evil. There's just deeper forgetting. And so everything is from power hungriness rather than from the heart. And the more we forget how powerful we are, the more power hungry we'll be, and we'll do ridiculous things because we can't see our interconnectedness. The less we see our interconnectedness, the less embodied we are, the more so-called evil things. But the problem is, we don't want to live in a dualistic world of good and evil, because we're right back to judging each other, which doesn't work at all. It's a very unproductive concept, good and evil. In fact, all dualistic concepts are. There is only the spectrum of remembering. There is only the spectrum of remembering, and to the depths to which you've remembered and embodied, that's the work that we're doing, and embodied it. That's the depths to which you wouldn't even be able to do something that was against. Everything would be in connection with all, and not in some crunchy granola woo-woo way. So to that end, as I was being interviewed for the movie, I realized that I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And then it hit me. I had been on an island in the Bahamas, and for some mistake on purpose, I was waiting for one of our participants. We were going on a dolphin swim. We were going to swim with the dolphins. And the wild dolphins in the ocean, not the captive ones in a pool, of course. And of course, they all come to us. We don't go to them. And just in case some of you got triggered by that information. And there was a team of people, and they looked very, official. And what was interesting was this, that the people that I was communing with while waiting for my friend who hadn't arrived yet, everyone else had, were waiting for the plane he was on because they needed to leave. So, and guys, I'm just going to check up here. Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with crunchy granola tree hugging stuff. I do it every day. But again, it's dualistic and we really want to make sure that it's normal. It's not crunchy granola and tree hugging. It's normal to be in love with nature. It's absolutely normal. The difference is not the tree hugging woo-woo. The difference is that we perceive it as tree hugging and woo-woo. It is absolutely, completely normal. So, let me talk about this. I sat next to these people, and I started asking them questions. I said, listen, what's going on? What are you guys doing? They said, oh, we're environmental inspectors. And I said, why are you here? They said, we're from the States, and we're inspecting the island because when we build on the island, we have to make sure we follow the U.S. rules and not the Bahamian rules. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I said, are you from Florida? He said, yes. I said, do you what do you do in Florida? He said, well, we look after this, we look at environmental catastrophes and all that kind of stuff, and we assess them. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. And I said, were you part of the dolphin? And I started asking questions. Were you part of the Gulf oil cleanup and all of the things that happened? And they said, well, yeah, we were. He said, and for that reason, if you're going to ask me more questions, I can't tell you my name or who I work for. I said, that's okay. I know you're sitting next to me for a reason. And we started talking, and I started asking deeper questions. And it ended up that he said 250,000 dolphins' bodies got cleaned from the beaches of the Gulf of Mexico. Not to mention the same number of bodies of turtles. Never mind fish and pelicans and all of these beautiful things. Now, why do I share this with you, especially when we're talking about grace? I share this with you because you can imagine I take people, dolphins, I have a connection that is profound with sea creatures, dolphins, turtles. I've swum with them, I've videoed them. They're my brothers and sisters. Unbelievable, the connection that one can make. And of course, I was shocked, and it took me back. But the cool thing is that I get to tell you this story, which is the deeper truth of what happened, which really wasn't seen. Now, you can do one of two things. You can become completely disempowered. And from the concepts that most of us know from personal growth and spiritual growth and new agey things, etc., we're doing our best and we're understanding ourselves and we're doing energy work and we're doing all these things. But the world of what I'm talking about in Quantum Wake-Up Calls and beyond, and all the work and Get Out of Your Way and embodying your innate abilities program and all of those things, the world I'm talking about is one where you would remember yourself so deeply and you would feel so empowered by the truth of who you were that nothing could keep you from your track of remembering who you are, because you know it's in the remembering that could never happen again. It could never happen again. The reason why I can witness all these things, and I go to countries where, they're third world countries where things happen. A lot of those third world countries are the originating points for all of humanity where those encodements lay so that we can re-embody them. And the cool thing is that as you embody them, even though those are horrible incidents, they are. And I witness them every time we go on a trip, trust me. I mean, I don't purposely witness them because I see incredible beauty wherever I go. It just catalyzes the awakening further. It really is the most productive answer to a world that has forgotten. Walking tuning forks, standing next to people on the bus, emanating the frequencies of the truth of who we are, not to mention having, never mind the courageous conversations all of you have had at some point, I'm sure. Which brings me to Cindy's question. She says, Jennifer, how do you see beyond people whose energy is so toxic that unlimited compassion has no effect on them, seemingly at least? So there are going to be people in your lives, you guys. There's going to be people in everyone's life. My goodness, there's lots of comments here. There's going to be people in everyone's life. A lot of those people are going to be close to you. They're going to be, biological relations, right? Why do you think we have the capacity to meet from all over the world and see each other and hold hands electronically, vibrationally? Why do you think the internet was invented? What do you think the power of exponential connection of people who are coming from a purity of heart is on those entities, that density that I was talking about? It has no power when we find each other. It has no power. And I'm going to answer Cindy's question because I think it's a really important one. Cindy, when I'm going around the world and when I'm teaching Get Out of Your Way, or when we're teaching Embody Your Innate Abilities, you got to understand that a lot of the people that I come across are, and a lot of people that are desperate, or people that are feeling a lot of pain, and some of them, most of the people that we work with are people like you, but we come across those people because they can feel that something else is possible. If I'm thinking of someone that we dealt with in our business recently who is really scared and afraid and comes in and out of remembering who she is. And one might say that sometimes she's very toxic, let's say. How do I deal with that? Well, first of all, I'm so appreciative of those people, because what it does is it allows me, see, that person is not toxic. They've just been scared out of their minds by life. And probably they were very sensitive as a child. And having known this person a little bit, I can say that that is absolutely true. And they're looking for people to trust. They're looking for people to put their trust in. And they're testing. They're constantly testing, because they want to finally feel like the world is safe again. And they hold a role. Their role is to test and to ask us up even more. Their role may never see, the only chance they're ever going to have to come up is if the world actually is a place that's perfectly harmonious. And of course, since it's not yet, certainly I'm not perfect. I don't know about you guys. But, and nor were we meant to be, for that matter. All I can do is come from love and compassion and meet people where they're at. Now, there are people that aren't going to go. If you know already, I'm going to say a few things, Cindy. If you know already that the person that you're in front of, that you've had conversations with, and it's like bashing your head against a brick wall, and even though you've sort of understood yourself more, you have more compassion for yourself, you're doing the work, you're waking up and all of these kinds of things. And I'm just being reminded that it's a little bit after 6, but again, we started late, so we're going to go another 10 minutes on this call, and then we're going to start on the new subject, you guys. But I want to make sure I answer a couple of these questions. So, Cindy, there are going to be people that in order to bridge and be the person that you are meant to be, those people are telling you through their actions and their words that they're not willing to come yet. And your next job is this: when you realize that they're not really willing to come, your job is to change the world around them, which means that it looks like sometimes you've given up on them, or you let them go, or you whatever. No. You'll find out when you move on from this lifetime that you come back here, you come back other places, you spend so much time so many other places, that this is an infinite journey, and that your job in this particular journey was very unique to any other lifetime you're ever going to have. And if you keep that in perspective, you'll have so much grace for this person who is this catalyst, and you'll be able to go to the people who are asking for you to play with them, and you'll be creating upon creation with them. And in doing so through 6 degrees of separation, the change of the matrix around the person that you were worried about, or the person that maybe isn't coming up as fast as you wish they would, which, by the way, isn't really your job. Your job is to go where the flow is, with compassion and grace, absolutely, with understanding, completely, with a conversation with some of the people that you know you're going to be not, communing with as much, for sure. But as you expand forward, what happens is the other full circle of your life is you get to full circle by creating the world in which maybe what some of your parents lived through or how your parents were, that could never happen again. And the only way that's going to happen is by working with those who are wanting to be bridged back to who they are, to remember who they are. So, to answer the other part of your question, Cindy, which is so important, I don't block their energy, ever. I don't block anyone's energy. I never block anyone's energy. That, again, is sort of dualistic. Well, it's not dualistic so much as it is effortful, I would say, very effortful. Spending time doing the work to embody who we are on the fast track, and this work most certainly is on the fast track, because it isn't about excavating or blocking. It's about embodying more of who you are such that you go up in frequency so high. And this isn't about, oh, I'm going to amplify my frequency, amplify my frequency. No, that's not what it's about. It's about embodying the higher frequencies scientifically, like literally the other encodements of who you are, such that you could physiologically in 3 dimensions capacitate higher frequencies. So your default level of love, I would say, or understanding life, your ability to view life from 30,000 feet, your default level is automatically different. You don't have to change your thoughts or words, because as you embody all of who you are, your thoughts and words just change. I sure as heck wasn't like this when I was in my 20s, I can tell you that much. But that is through simply embodying all of who I am. Some people ask how you talk like it's just the truth. No, it's a truth, first of all, and I'm living it every day with people that I'm working with, and I'm watching the shifts happen. So what I would say, Cindy, is the work is not to block, because your ego would love that, because that's more energy spent on not embodying more of who you are, so that you can raise in frequency, such that in your presence those lower frequencies just transmute hardly without any effort at all. And then it gets even better, because you start being able to know what to say and know what to do in every moment, such that those people actually change, or the world around them changes because of your deeper embodiment. You know, who you are is different. So I hope that makes sense to you. That's the work. And I want you guys to know that these quantum wake-up calls, I know there are so many other questions here that I see. I'm so glad. There's a movie that I saw recently. You know how The Matrix was such an amazing movie, and even though it had blood and guts, and probably none of us like blood and guts and shooting, the deeper message, you know, that's the reality of that world. And the deeper message was so profound. If you haven't watched The Matrix recently, I recommend that you watch it again. It's powerful. But the other movie that is kind of silly and stupid and kind of, but actually poignant, is called Warm Bodies. I watched it recently, and Cindy, what you're reminding me of right now is it's about zombies. And I don't watch those kinds of movies. I just don't. But for some reason, I changed the channel. I was watching this movie. I get another mistake on purpose. My higher level is totally guiding me. And, and I'm watching this thing. And Warm Bodies is about the people who are completely unconscious, the zombies, and how the people who haven't yet been affected actually change all the zombies. And there are people that are too far gone that are basically skeletons. And of course, what happens to them. It's an amazing metaphor for what we're talking about today. So, and then someone else was just talking about a movie on YouTube called Black Leopard, originally named Diablo. Oh, actually, I posted that story, my love. I posted that, Mary. The story of the Black Leopard. I actually posted that about 2 weeks ago. So if any of you have seen that, yeah, absolutely. So, so guys, all right. Someone else is asking about transmuting our bodies. It's all in our innate abilities. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about a couple of things right now before we get to our different topic. For those of you that are on live stream, I'm going to take 5 minutes, and in about 2 minutes, I'm going to take 5 minutes break, and then we're going to come back, and it's going to be equally juicy, if not more so, because we're on a roll. For those of you, take those 5 minutes. If you know someone that should be on the call, get them to join in, give them the numbers. This is free. This is about waking up the planet, right? So the more people, the merrier. So you know, I just completed a book a couple of months ago called The Wide Awakening Handbook. It's basically a 30-day story and then an exercise that would, in a body on a planet, help you to more fully integrate what we're talking about here. In Quantum Wake-Up Calls, which happen once a month, every month, for 2 hours a month, 2 one-hour sessions a month, you have the capacity to, we're going through that entire book together. For those of you that choose to sign up for Quantum Wake-Up Calls for the year, it isn't very much. It is the least costly or the least, let's say, pricey program that we do. It's, I think it's $497 for the whole year. And for those of you that sign up for the 12 months, you get or an additional 12 months if you're already signed up, you'll get that book at no charge. We'll include it. And you'll get an e-copy of the book, and you'll be able to go through it. For those of you who pay monthly, we'll be going through the chapters of the book, but you won't get a copy, and we'll actually be communing on those subjects, which are sort of perfectly timed for this year. There is a link, I think that Jeannie or Joy or somebody can post it right now in live stream. For those of you that are in instant teleseminar, I think the link is on your screen to purchase Quantum Wake-Up Calls. So please, Quantum Wake-Up Calls would be normally $597 so for the whole year. So please have a look. And the book, Teresa, is called The Wide Awakening Handbook. We'll have another book this year as well, which will embody a lot of these concepts, but dive very, very deep. This one is a practical change your life book. So I think that somebody just posted the link to be able to sign up for Quantum Wake-Up Calls. I also wanted to tell you about a few other things that are happening. Embody Your Innate Abilities is happening the beginning of April. It's one of the hugest successes because it's powerful. The people that take that program are in communion with each other they're still in communion with each other from last year. It is an in a body on a planet, permanent, cell-changing, life-changing. Well, you can imagine after this particular quantum wake-up call what it's like to actually go through the experience of embodying those innate abilities one by one by one. 24 innate abilities. I highly recommend that you take a look at that program. It's on our website for those of you that are interested. And I know that many of you are coming to take it out of your way in the different cities that we're in. There is one other thing, however, that I wanted to mention, and that is this. In May, we're going to swim with those wild dolphins in Bimini. We're in a beautiful boat where we go out, and every day there are experiences with nature that are beyond, and we actually go through some of the innate abilities there too. That particular program is $2,555. It will fill up. It's limited to 12 people, and I think we've already got 6 people already talking to Faye, wanting to register. So if you have any interest in that, again, you can go to our website. It's thewideawakening.com. That's thewideawakening.com. So you guys, you will also notice that, yes, and I did mention that it's a liveaboard. I also want you guys to know this, that when we talk about any of our programs, please never listen like it's a sales pitch. I ask you to always listen from the place inside of you that resonates with things, and then simply feel the resonation and say yes, and do it. That is the call of infinite wisdom. And when we follow that yes, more fluidity ensues. If you don't know how to do that and embody your innate abilities, it will help tremendously to be able to follow that state of fluidity, because it is the path of most abundance in your life. Always, always, always. No contemplation, going direct. And so we're going to talk about that in our next section. I'm going to wish you guys the biggest mwah and lots of love and hugs and all sorts of stuff. And we're going to reconvene in about 5 minutes, okay, y'all? And I love you, and I will see you just in a little bit. We'll be right back.